In Illinois, a photojournalist named Thomas Vale shows his intriguing work at his studio and is hailed for his eye for raw detail. Surrounded by his closest friends and colleagues, Tom is overjoyed with his achievement and enjoys his night with his best friend Larry, who congratulates him on his success and invites him for a night out. However, out of his comfort zone in the spotlight, Tom makes up an excuse to leave his own show early and instead goes to dinner at his favorite restaurant with his loving wife Allison, who's genuinely proud of him. During dinner, the couple enjoys each other's company and has fun.
I think she would have been really proud.
You know, my mother wouldn't come out for my funeral.
Hoping to clear his mind of the sudden heavy cloud that came at the mention of his mother and the family dynamics, Tom excuses himself to the bathroom, smokes a cigarette, and once calm, proceeds to return to his seat. However, as soon as he leaves the bathroom, he's perplexed by what he sees.
Did Allison change tables?
Excuse me? I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave the restaurant, sir.
All right.
After failing to reach Allison on her phone, Tom takes a cab home. But once there, he's more confused to see that his keys no longer work and bangs on the door.
What do you want?
It's not funny. Who the hell are you supposed to be? I'm her husband.
Tom then tries to withdraw some money from the ATM, which denies him access. Feeling lost, Tom returns to his studio, and frustrated that his keys no longer work there, he breaks in through the windows and spends the night there. The next morning, Tom heads to Allison's regular dry cleaner, ambushes her inside her car, and orders her to drive away.
What do you want me to say?
Come on, Allison, what are the rules of the game here?
Tom calms down for a bit, and as he tries to figure out his next step, the police pull him over.
What's the problem?
Want to step out of the car, please, sir?
Officer, please, this man hid in the backseat of my car. I've never seen him before in my life. He's insane.
What are you doing, Allison? Tom is then arrested and admitted to a psychiatric hospital.
You mind if I smoke?
No, do you mind if I leave?
Some of my colleagues would say that humor is the first line of defense. You went to this woman's house and you created quite a scene.
Look, you would just listen.
Realizing how bad everything looks, Tom comes up with an idea to prove his credibility.
Are you familiar with my work?
No, should I be?
I'm a photographer. Doctor, the woman I've been accused of harassing is my wife.
That night, Tom is awakened by a paranoid schizophrenic patient named Eddie, who comes into his room.
Everything they give you, they can take back. Everything you thought you had, you don't.
The next morning, Dr. Bellamy takes Tom to the studio to check the reliability of his story.
Good morning.
Who the hell are you?
Don't mind him.
Then the doctor starts walking around the studio admiring the photographs to prove that the studio is his, and he knows it. Like the back of his hand, Tom goes around the room trying to give the doctor a tour, but is perplexed to see everything has been moved and rearranged overnight.
Would it be possible for us to meet the photographer? Yeah, we just want to compliment him on his work.
So you believe her and not me?
Just
the negatives. They wouldn't know where I kept him. They'd never be able to find him.
Tom then looks for the negatives and is gutted to realize that they're not there.
Confusion isn't necessarily a bad thing. Under the circumstances.
Seemingly defeated, Tom returns to the facility and joins the rest of the patients in the rec room.
What is going on?
You don't want to get inside my head, furry friend. You got enough problems of your own.
That night, Tom sneaks out of his room, discreetly watches as Dr. Bellamy warmly escorts a woman out, and is soon horrified to learn that the woman is Allison. Early the next morning, Thomas quietly sneaks into Eddie's room to tell him what he witnessed, but is devastated to find him blabbering incomprehensible gibberish after a prefrontal lobotomy procedure. Then, to make matters worse, Thomas studies Eddie's file and is more confused to learn that Eddie is David Powers.
Knick-knack, paddywhack, give the dog a bone.
Later, Tom ambushes Dr. Bellamy.
What do you want?
I want my life back, you bastard.
You're not going to get away with this.
Maybe not.
Then, Tom proceeds to pack up his stuff calmly.
But I am getting away with it. I mean, if a man's identity is so tenuous, so fragile, how's your credit limit?
Before the doctor can provide an answer, the studio is bombarded with gunshots from outside, and men from the facility swarm the room, kill the doctor, and start searching for Tom, who manages to escape before the studio blows up. Tom then calls Larry's office.
I'm sorry, Mr. Vale, he's not in. Can I take a message?
Tom sneaks into Larry's house and, after a thorough search, finds his best friend's lifeless body in the closet. Shocked out of his mind, Tom makes a call.
I'm trying to reach Mrs. Jonathan Vale.
Tom then packs the negatives of the photograph titled Hidden Agenda, which is at the heart of the chaos, into envelopes and mails them before going to his mother's house and cautiously walking in.
Can I help you? Your mother had a stroke 6 days ago.
As soon as Sue steps out, Tom approaches his mother.
Some days are better than others.
How did this happen?
Then, as an officer shows up and demands that Tom show him an ID, a priest appears out of nowhere to calm things down.
Sue tells me that Helen is your mother. You're from St. Anne's.
Then, as the priest remarks that Helen had never mentioned that she had a son, she calls out to Tom.
My son is dead.
What is going on? Tom then takes Sue hostage and runs out.
You can tell your friends. They can't take it all.
Tom flees and drives away as far as his banged-up car can take him and starts walking thereafter to the middle of nowhere. After hours of walking in the scorching sun, Tom sits down and just stares at the empty roads as if desperately hoping for someone to wake him up from the relentless nightmare that has seemingly wiped his existence from the face of the earth. That evening, Tom checks into a motel using the doctor's ID and credentials. Then, he calls his friend Greg.
Hey, buddy, it's Tom.
I think you've got the wrong number.
During the night, armed men swarm the hotel, forcing Tom to flee.
You're not the easiest man to find, Dr. Bellamy.
Tom is then taken to a highly secured compound.
I hope my men weren't too rough on you, Doctor.
Hoping to cement the credibility of his new persona, like he had seen the doctor do, Tom takes a cigar, pokes a hole in it with a sharpened pencil, and proceeds to light it. Then, Tom goes for a walk around the compound.
You know quite well that each branch of operations functions autonomously.
The supervisor then shows Tom a woman named Ellen Combs. The supervisor then plays a video from a couple of weeks earlier, in which Ellen waits outside while her husband, Peter, and their children get their van washed. But unbeknownst to her, they are soon drugged and abducted. After a few minutes, Ellen is startled by a waiter who drops his tray, just like Tom had been while at dinner with his wife. And soon, she's horrified to see the van empty.
Mac, where are Peter and the kids?
Peter? And who?
Later, the supervisor calls Tom into his office.
I can't tell you how enthusiastic we all are that you're here.
Talk about being stuck between a rock and a hard place. That night, Tom spends hours studying Ellen's files and pays her a visit the next morning.
I want my life back. I want to see my family.
Tom calmly takes the straitjacket off of her and allows her out of the cage, as Ellen desperately recites her story over and over again.
Someone has taken my life.
Tom is overcome with emotion as he sees himself in Ellen, but schools his features to hide what he's feeling and comforts her. The next day, just like Dr. Bellamy had done to him, Tom takes Ellen to her children's school so that she can see them. A few minutes later, Ellen spots the kids from a distance and runs towards them earnestly, but completely clueless as to who she is. The kids scream for help and run away from her. Despite feeling Ellen's pain deep down in his soul, Tom maintains a professional demeanor and comforts her. Later that evening, at the sanitarium, Tom goes to check on Ellen.
Dr. Haynes signed her out and took her downstairs for treatment.
Treatment? What kind of treatment?
Hoping to rescue Ellen from a permanent loss, Tom rushes downstairs.
Hey, no, don't.
Dr. Bellamy. She's phase 4, Doctor. She's already sedated and prepped.
Well, then unprep her.
Tom then trashes the room and rescues Ellen. Distressed by the events, the supervisor calls the director the next day.
From all appearances, he's making every attempt to reassure the woman.
Later, unbeknownst to him, the supervisor monitors his every move. Tom is approached by Ellen, who profusely thanks him.
No matter how hard they came at me, no matter how hard they tried, I had to stop and think that maybe there is no them.
Later, the supervisor calls Tom into his office.
What's the status of the Thomas Vale file?
Oh, he promised to send it right out. I should be here first thing in the morning.
The next day, while Tom spends time in the garden discreetly taking pictures of the compound and the staff, the supervisor catches up to him.
Mrs. Combs is being prepped for final erasure.
Feeling cornered, Tom reluctantly joins them in the procedure room.
Do you recognize this man?
I'm not sure.
Tom takes a risk, reacts quickly, attacks both the doctor and the supervisor, and flees the compound with Ellen to a bed and breakfast.
Oh, don't worry. You were on your best behavior.
Overwhelmed by everything she hears, Ellen asks Tom to show her the negatives of the photograph, and he reluctantly goes to a public locker to retrieve them and quickly returns.
Why are you doing this for me? I mean, if the director had really sent your file.
No, I never mentioned the director.
Tom runs out of the room and is soon chased by the men from the organization. Luckily, he manages to outrun them, steals a car, and flees.
But you told me that if I broke him, I could have my life back.
What? So they knew who he was all alone? I didn't see that coming. After driving away for a few hours, Tom settles down in a small town, starts his own investigation, searches for the car in his hidden agenda photo, and learns that it's been re-registered in Georgia. Hence, Tom travels to Georgia to find the car dealership and arrives late in the afternoon. Hoping to occupy himself until the next morning, Tom goes to watch a young blind psychic named Derek, whom the whole town is raving about. At the show, while Tom and the audience watch on, a woman asks Derek about the whereabouts of her family heirloom, but the young boy shocks everyone with his answer.
The photographs. They're so real, Thomas. So unforgiving. Thomas!
Shocked by what happened in the show, Tom visits Derek later that night.
I see an eagle.
An eagle?
You should leave this place, mister. Now.
The next morning, Tom goes to the car dealership and finds the car he was looking for.
U.S. military walks the walk.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to check it out for myself, maybe.
Tom heads to the army base, and as he tries to speak to Harry, he flees. Tom chases and tackles him and is shocked to see the same eagle tattoo from his photograph on the man's arm. Desperate, Tom heads to Derek's trailer to speak to him, finds him alone, and takes him out for lunch.
Anything they give you, they can take away. Absolute zero gentle, Jack. The bottom line.
Derek then carefully inspects the negatives.
Death. Soldiers. Airplanes.
Later that night, Tom goes to Harry's house to find some answers.
You don't seem to be, so I guess somebody screwed up.
Before Harry can explain what happened in the jungle, the house is bombarded with gunshots, and he's killed. Tom escapes the ambush and heads back to his room, but the manager kicks him out. Then, as he tries to decide his next destination, Derek's father, Bert, arrives and tells him that the young boy has disappeared.
I don't know. I haven't seen him since yesterday afternoon. Why? What's going on?
Bert and Tom search for the young boy and find him at the military base. There, while they try to escape, Tom witnesses the organization arriving at the base and wiping out all of the soldiers who are now considered a liability. The major then gives new orders.
Make sure someone cleans up that mess.
Yes, sir.
Elsewhere, Tom, Derek, and Bert hide at Harry's place until the coast is clear before returning to town. There, they are shocked to see that all signs of the military's existence in the town have been wiped out. Then, hoping to spare his new friends Derek and Bert more trouble, Tom leaves the town behind and walks away while trying to work out the extent of the conspiracy. Hoping to get some respite from the ever-growing chaos and stress, Tom moves to a different state, starts working as a cab driver, and builds a comfortable refuge for himself. A few months later, while driving, Tom accidentally hits a little girl, panics, and rushes to check on her. Then, suspecting she may have a broken leg, Tom calls an ambulance and waits by her side. However, the ambulance arrives a few minutes later, and in a shocking turn of events, the paramedics drug and abduct him. Tom is then taken to a psychiatric facility for a procedure.
You remember when you first met Karen, don't you, Tom? A glorious picture-perfect day. You remember being in the park.
The doctor then starts the procedure, while Tom starts experiencing the events as if they had been real and is made to remember meeting a young, beautiful photographer named Karen in the park and getting to know her. The woman playing Karen's character sits by the table, reciting a carefully crafted script that would reinforce the memory and everything he's been told.
Is everything all right?
No, he knows that it's real. The day that you met in the park has now become a pleasant...
A few days later, Tom wakes up and is shocked to find a nurse tending to him, and he is told that he had a minor accident in his cab and is in a hospital.
Karen.
She's a lucky lady.
After a few days of intense treatment, the doctor opts to move on to the next stage.
She will be the most important person in his life.
Allison, you okay?
Who's Allison?
At the mention of Allison's name, everyone panics. Then, while spending time with Karen, Tom starts getting flashbacks, freaks out, and the doctor is forced to intervene. At the end of the treatment, Tom becomes suddenly desperate to talk to Karen and apologize for his earlier behavior, but is gutted when he's informed she's been in a car accident.
She kept telling us to call you and apologize for anything she might have done.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
Then, as Tom heads to his car, a group of men kidnaps Karen. Tom tries to stop the men but fails miserably and finds a note that orders him to go home and wait for their orders. Tom rushes to the location full of fear and anticipation.
You will come to 4655 Southwest.
Then, Tom suddenly notices that his watch is engraved by his wife, Allison.
Live in Lake Forest, Illinois.
Miss Stoke will die if you don't answer the question.
The doctor sedates Tom and then tries to come up with a solution.
Well, we've been experimenting with this new drug.
Luckily, just as the doctor proceeds to inject Tom with the lethal drug, Karen, who has fallen in love with him, kills both men to rescue him, but is later killed herself. Later, Tom wakes up in a room filled with lifeless bodies and walks away from the ordeal exasperated. Tom starts working at a photo shop and one day finds a picture of Allison dining with a woman. Later, when the woman comes in to collect the picture, Tom questions her about it, but fails to get an answer. Hence, he takes an early lunch break and follows her as she goes to work.
What are you doing here?
I'm not going to hurt you. I just want to ask you a couple questions.
Then, Tom finds a picture of himself and his details in the woman's purse and is confused.
Who are you? Who do you work for?
Tom holds the woman at gunpoint, forces her onto a plane, ties her up with the co-pilot, and orders the pilot to follow his orders. A few minutes later, the plane takes off.
You're a flyer. No, it has some hours payload.
Minutes into the flight, the pilot takes advantage of Tom's distraction and knocks him out. The next thing he knows, Tom finds himself sleeping in a house and wonders where he is. Trying to get a better idea, Tom steps outside and is more confused to be warmly greeted by neighbors, as if he had always lived there.
Hello, Tom. Welcome home.
Dee then takes Tom to a small local event and introduces him to Paul.
Who the hell are you people and what the hell am I doing here?
I mean, just like that.
Paul proudly shows Tom around the community.
Yeah, I know. I'm not fond of $2 words either, but it's the best we've been able to come up with.
Then, as they approach the city limits, Tom's bracelet starts blaring like crazy, warning him from going out into the dangerous world, which infuriates Tom, who suddenly feels like a prisoner. Later, Dee takes Tom for a walk around the lake.
No one here wants to hurt you.
The very same thing that they want, only you say that.
The next morning, while everyone prepares for the festival, Paul visits Tom at his house.
Seems like you're starting to get in things around here, huh? Your donation to New Phoenix could prove to be very valuable to us.
Once alone, Tom reflects on his conversation with Paul and quietly peeks outside to see the preparation for the festival and come up with an idea. He approaches Paul to apologize for the way he spoke to him and offers to mow the lawn and help the locals set up for the festivity. Tom then heads to the groundskeeper's shack, discreetly cuts the bracelet off his hand, sets it on a toy car, and remotely drives it to the gate to see what happens if one tries to escape. Just as Tom suspected, and contrary to what Paul had told him, as soon as the car touches the gate, the bracelet blows up and catches on fire. So it's like a prison after all. Hoping to talk to Dee about everything that he has discovered, Tom asks her to meet him by the lake through a note.
What's wrong, Tom?
What do you know about these bracelets?
Tom then tries to reason with Dee and shares his observation.
Listen to me, Dee. You gotta understand this. I mean, can you honestly say you knew nothing about this?
While the festival activities commence, Tom sneaks around the compound and heads to the maintenance building, where he has a shocking interaction.
Who put you in here? When you don't go along with Paul's idea of heaven.
Meanwhile, Paul gathers the guards and orders them to find Tom as soon as possible, using whatever force necessary. He's then called onto the podium to give a speech. Elsewhere, Tom quietly disarms a guard, gains access to the building, frees numerous prisoners, and takes them back to the festival.
And Helen ran the local newspaper until suddenly she took ill.
I did this for you. I did this for the people of New Phoenix. New Phoenix is working.
Later, Tom joins Dee for tea, and the duo discusses the events of the day. Then, Dee makes a shocking announcement.
And, it seemed like the right thing to do.
While Dee calmly scolds Tom's disruptive character and his refusal to help them build a better community, the drugs start working, and he slowly loses his consciousness. A few hours later, Tom wakes up and finds himself in a motel room with a note from Dee apologizing for throwing him out of New Phoenix. He then looks out the window at the buzzing city, grateful to be out of the prison that was designed to make the victims of erasure accept their new life. Tom spends the next couple of months trying to learn more about David, the only person who's ever understood the gravity of the matter. And after numerous dead ends, his search leads him to an old motel.
$20 for an overnighter. 10 if you can finish your business in under an hour.
Tom bribes the clerk to get David's room keys, enters the room, and as he looks around, he's shell-shocked to see scenes from his life playing on TV on a show titled The Little Lenny Show.
The joke's over. So where is she?
The joke's over, Raul. Where is she?
Desperate to find out how his life came to be a show, Tom heads to the production company and quietly sneaks in. However, when he gets to the set, Tom is more confused than ever before to see his interaction with Allison in her car being acted out, and he approaches the director.
Who's Max Webb?
He's the writer-producer of this extravaganza.
Tom heads to Max's house, finds the front door unlocked, quietly enters, and finds Max setting up the story of the show on his dictaphone.
This is a really bad time. If this is about my ex...
Who do you work for?
Instead of being offended by Tom's accusatory tone and never-ending questions, Max takes Tom's reaction to his lead character, Lenny, as a compliment, and hails his own writing for making a character relatable to his audience.
Hey! I'm the writer.
Max then steps out to get a fresh batch of coffee. Alone in the room with the dictaphone, Tom swiftly plays it to learn more about the story.
He's gotta know what the guy is up to, so he crosses to the dictaphone and he plays back a section.
How could he possibly have known this? Frustrated by what he hears, Tom throws the dictaphone at the window and shatters the glass. Moments later, Max returns, learns what happened, and with a pointed gun orders Tom to leave. As soon as Tom steps out, Max makes a call.
No. Everything went according to plan.
After leaving, Tom breaks the shattered glass, setting off the security alert, and returns to Max's office and redials the last number Max had called.
Max Webb.
Please hold, sir.
Tom heads to the office and tries to speak with Mr. Simmons.
If you'd like to leave your name and number, I can have someone get back to you.
All right, okay.
Seeing Mr. Simmons leave his office from a distance, Tom hides in the parking lot, jumps in front of his car, and as soon as the driver gets out to check on him, he attacks him and takes his place in the driver's seat.
Who are you? What is Allegra, and what is your connection to Max Webb?
In a shocking twist of events, while a frantic Tom tries to stop him, Mr. Simmons injects himself with lethal medication and kills himself, forcing Tom to steal his wallet and flee the scene. Tom heads to a nearby bar, and as he takes a moment to process everything that has transpired, he sees his recent interaction with Mr. Simmons playing on the TV on a new episode of The Little Lenny Show.
Lenny keeps up like this, he is one dead puppy.
Tom blocks everything out and spends hours working on all the clues he found in David's room, figures out that it's a location on the other side of the city, and heads there. However, as soon as he enters, he is annoyed to see Max waiting for him.
And now, there's so much useless paper.
Fed up with all the back and forth that seems to go nowhere, Tom proceeds to leave until Max throws a script at him.
Was the last episode of the Lenny Little Show.
Tom swallows his pride, picks up the script, and rushes out. He then heads to a nearby deli, where he finds the actress playing Allison on the show and joins her.
Read the end. I just can't believe that Lenny fell for it.
Later that night, as everyone tunes in to watch the finale of the show, Max decides to broadcast the episode live, heads to the set to supervise filming, and it all gets underway.
Max, he just made it up the rope.
Elsewhere, Tom goes to the building and heads into the records room, just like Lenny does on the show. However, while the audience gasps in horror as Lenny tries to get his file, a mysterious lethal gas is released into the room which kills him. Once the show is finished, Max heads to the records room to collect Tom, whom he had predicted would meet the same fate as Lenny. But once there, he's shocked to find no trace of him. As Max and his colleague look around, the doors and windows are all suddenly locked, trapping them inside, and the lethal chemical is released. Later, Tom sits on a bench processing the events of the night and everything he's been forced to endure in the past few months, and wonders if it will ever end. For the next couple of months, Tom works as a pizza delivery man in a new state. One night, Tom goes to a regular recluse customer named Scott, and just when he's about to leave the pizza and return, he finds the front door open and curiously walks in. Inside, Tom finds a thrashed living room, and as he proceeds in, he finds a room filled with multiple computers and an anxious Scott, who is whimpering, and helps him up and calms him down. In the next few minutes, Tom establishes that Scott is an intelligent hacker who has isolated himself from the rest of the world, living alone, surrounded by computers and a virtual reality simulator. Seeing the confusion on Tom's face, Scott explains that computers are the future and attempts to prove this by searching for Tom's information using his social security number.
You buy something in a discount store, you're in here. I could get your whole life up here in 1 second.
Tom sympathizes with the young man's lonely lifestyle and, despite everything he's been through, tries to show him what he's missing from the real world.
It's hard with people. You You can't always be sure.
Scott sets up the virtual reality in which Tom is excited to reunite with the love of his life, Allison, whom he's missed dearly, and spends time with her, but has a hard time comprehending how real everything seems while Scott hangs out with his virtual girlfriend. The next morning, Scott rises early to find out who's behind Tom's erasure and hacks through many government databases while explaining each step to Tom. Soon, his search leads him to a government IP address at MIT. But before he can go further, his system is hacked and starts to shut down. Freaking out by the sudden intrusion into his precious system, Scott tries to come up with ways to minimize the damage, but knowing that the organization is on their trail and hoping to protect the naive young man, Tom drags him out of the house. The organization soon arrives at the house, breaks in, and turns it upside down to find whoever hacked into their system. Luckily, Scott and Tom are long gone by then. But Scott, who has lived in complete isolation and darkness for the last decade, has a difficult time adjusting to the noise and chaos of the street.
I can't do this, Tom. I can't stay out here. Why are they doing this to my teacher? My high school computer teacher.
Out of options, Tom takes Scott to Mrs. Peterson's house, and she warmly welcomes them.
At 18, he designed a significant piece of software for a venture capital.
From his teacher's computer, Scott tries to access the files, but fails until she helps him. Then, they set up the virtual reality, and Tom and Scott head inside to find the file. After finding a painting of the hidden agenda photograph,
This is it!
the duo follows its trail to a records room and starts searching for Tom's file.
Nice and slow.
Oh, I see.
Tom, are you okay?
Tom manages to find his way out of the disintegrating virtual reality world and rushes to check on Scott.
Oh, dear God. Scott! Scott!
Utterly heartbroken by the loss, Tom cries his eyes out and starts to wonder if the fight and the loss he endures along the way are worth it at all. Soon, Tom also realizes that the answers he's desperately been searching for have been lost with Scott and prepares himself to start over. Tom spends the next couple of months working odd jobs and learning about Dr. Bellamy's research and treatment methods, and learns that the doctor had begun his work at a private school in New England. Hence, hoping to get some insight, Tom secures a groundskeeper job at Sperling Academy using the alias Jack. One morning, during the students' daily presentation, which all the teachers attend, Tom discreetly breaks into the headmaster, Gordon's office to search for Dr. Bellamy's files, makes copies, steals his lectures, and swiftly leaves. Afterwards, Tom heads into the chapel, sees a student named Kyle coming out with his two friends, and proceeds inside. There, he's horrified to find a student named Danny hanging from the ceiling and alerts the authorities. Soon, Sheriff Wade arrives on the scene and starts his investigation.
You have any thoughts as to why Mr. Griffin would lie?
I think he's probably just mistaken, sir.
That night, Tom walks around the compound on the lookout for anything suspicious, heads into the dormitory. But before he can find anything, he falls asleep in the hall.
7 o'clock. Assembly calls in 30 minutes.
Later, the sheriff comes to school to continue his investigation into the tragic death.
I'm telling you the truth.
Look, my testicular reaction to that group is that they're all a bunch of elite little turds.
That night, Tom quietly enters the dormitory and is shocked to find a tape playing over and over again, seemingly brainwashing the students as they slept.
What is good for the community is good for everyone.
Tom then returns to his room and studies Dr. Bellamy's files while listening to his lectures.
You'll notice the consistency in what I call alpha spike.
Then, Tom hears a knock on his door and cautiously opens it to find a student named Vicky.
Vicky, does Kyle know that you overheard him saying this?
Nobody does.
Vicky then kisses Tom, who is taken aback and stops her. But soon he sees Kyle taking a picture of the incident and realizes that it's all been a setup. The next morning, Tom goes to Kyle's room to talk to him about what happened.
I don't need pictures of her and you in flagrante delicto.
Tom leaves Kyle looking lost and defeated. But once he's outside, he plays the audio tape recordings of the incriminating conversation he just had with Kyle and smiles to himself as he drives away. Smart move, Tom. A few nights later, Tom sneaks into Gordon's residence and ambushes him.
Answers? What is this place? This place, Sperling.
Before Tom gets the answers, Kyle comes out of nowhere, knocks him out, and ties him to a chair.
How did you know Griffin was here?
I may not graduate in top 10 of the class, but I've got something none of the others have.
In the morning, Tom is apprehended by the sheriff.
She came to my room on the orders of Kyle Manx. He took the photos.
Elsewhere, Gordon receives a phone call from his frustrated superiors.
No, it's too late for that, sir. He's in the legal system now. Yes, sir.
A few minutes later, the sheriff receives an unexpected call from the FBI, which leaves him perplexed.
You're a real popular guy. Seems the FBI has several outstanding warrants on you.
Despite finding the ordeal highly suspicious and almost believing Tom's long and complicated story, the sheriff proceeds to prepare Tom for the handover. But Tom quickly disarms him, holds him at gunpoint, and the duo hides in the sheriff's car while the men swarm the station, turn it upside down looking for Tom, and return disappointed. Then, Tom forces the sheriff to drive him out to the woods, where he plays him the incriminating audio recording of Kyle. Equipped with the evidence he needs, the sheriff advises Tom to disappear and returns to town to apprehend both Kyle and Gordon. Once again alone in his fight against the mighty conspiracy, Tom walks away to find yet another place to settle in. One night, as Tom walks through an amusement park in Milwaukee, he sees suspicious men following him, and he tries to get away from them. Soon, a chase ensues, and after a few minutes of desperate attempts to escape the men, Tom is rescued by a man named Gus.
When somebody pulls your ass out of the fire, Rob Roy.
Hearing the police approach, Tom and Gus flee the amusement park. Once safely outside, Tom continues asking the mysterious man questions about his motives, and when he fails to provide any meaningful answer, he proceeds to take off on his own.
You're out here trying to get your life back and you're getting nowhere pretty damn fast.
Gus holds Tom at gunpoint and forces him to drive. The duo heads to Gus's apartment, where the old man packs all his stuff in a single cardboard box, donates it to a homeless man, and proceeds to continue driving with Tom, who refuses to take part in Gus's mysterious mission until Gus mentions all his loved ones.
Who are you? You haven't figured it out yet, have you?
As Tom drives him away, Gus makes a startling announcement.
What I'm trying to tell you, Tom, is even if you win, you lose.
Tom is overwhelmed by this, and for the first time since their encounter a few hours ago, he starts to sympathize with Gus.
You can get it all back, Tommy boy.
Everything.
After a couple of hours of driving, the duo stops to have breakfast and chat.
You can't win. They're too good, and they got numbers on their side.
Then, Gus gives Tom his mother's medical file.
I'll tell you one thing, they are not perfect. They do make mistakes, but so do you.
That night, following Gus's directions, the duo heads to an agricultural substation and discreetly enters. Inside, Gus gives Tom a code to dial, which opens a secret door, and the duo proceeds inside. Then, Gus accesses the security system, which identifies him as Dr. Richards.
Gotta give them credit, though. They've got a real flair for this kind of crap.
The duo successfully passes through the security check and enters a room filled with computers.
Hey, who is Dr. Richards?
You had your Bellamy, I had my Richards.
To demonstrate, Gus turns on a computer, which automatically and unexpectedly sets off the self-destruct button, forcing the duo to run back out as fast as they can. Just as they drive away, the building explodes, forever destroying any proof of its existence. Gus continues giving directions to Tom, and the duo drives to meet his prostitute companion Tina, and Gus asks her out for a final goodbye dinner, and she accepts.
Got a friend for Tommy boy?
I think I saw Mary around.
The next day, the duo goes to the park, where Gus pretends to feed the pigeons while keeping an eye on and playing with a young boy.
Good throw, good arm. All right, keep your eye on it, here you go.
However, soon, Gus's daughter Susan, who has no idea who Gus is, as he had been forced to become a fugitive and abandon his family when she was just a toddler, arrives with her husband.
How do you know my name?
A lot of people asking me that question lately.
That night, the men continue to hang out while drinking in their room, and Tom vents about Allison.
Look at you like they've never even seen you before.
Then, Gus gives Tom a picture.
Is a picture beginning to form?
Who could have taken this picture? Then, as if having accomplished his last mission on Earth, Gus takes out his gun.
Whoever these people are, they're not perfect. They make mistakes. Gus, you don't have to do this. Come on, you said it yourself.
Gus then gives Tom Dr. Richards' contact information. After thinking about everything he has learned in the last couple of days and sympathizing with Gus, Tom decides to give Gus the chaos and fight he seems to have missed in hopes of sparking life in the desolate man. Hence, Tom calls Dr. Richards.
If you want him, you better move quickly. He's not going to be there long.
In the morning, Tom wakes up still groggy from the alcohol of the previous night and tries to register his environment.
Now don't go and ruin my big last scene.
As Tom wrestles the gun out of Gus's hands, the duo hears cars approaching, realize that the organization has tracked them there, and run out, with the operatives in tow. As the duo runs through a cornfield, a still hungover Tom falls down, reminds Gus that he's the target, advises him to flee, and sends him on his way, while Dr. Richards stands back, Poking his cigar with a pencil and preparing it with a smile on his face, Tom runs away alone in a different direction, hears gunshots blaring from a distance, and continues on his way, hoping that Gus has survived the ordeal. After a couple of months in the wilderness, Tom heads to his hometown in Missouri, hoping it will somehow validate what he remembers of himself and his life before the chaos. Once there, Tom tracks his father to a local junior baseball game and heads there while keeping an eye on the mysterious men who seem to follow him around. He then meets his father for the first time in 2 decades.
Tom!
Jonathan's young son, John Jr., interrupts the conversation to talk to his father and curiously watches Tom. As he heads to his father's house for dinner, John wonders if his dreams of finally reuniting with Jonathan are true or if the man is part of the conspiracy and posing as his father. As they bow their heads to pray, Tom notes a scar behind Jonathan's ears.
Jonathan's very sensitive about his cosmetic surgery.
After dinner, while Jonathan and Tom chat privately, Tom observes his father intently and even pays extra attention to how he smokes his cigar. That night, Tom reflects on what Beth had said about Jonathan being a different man after his plastic surgery and wonders if there's a deeper motive for the procedure. Then his doubts and fear worsen when he spots Jonathan talking with mysterious men outside the house in the dead of night. The next day, hoping to put his doubts to rest, Tom goes to the basement and searches for the photograph.
Beth's been collecting those things for years. What are you doing down here?
You mentioned yesterday that you had some...
Tom then suffers a nasty cut from the rusty trunk and is taken to Jonathan's doctor.
You sure this will take care of everything? Who's the doctor here? Okay.
Tom attacks the doctor and storms out with his father in tow.
I'm sorry, Hal.
It's okay.
The next morning, as he leaves his room, Tom hears Jonathan and Beth arguing downstairs, sees a distressed John Jr., and approaches him.
It might have something to do with me being here.
No.
Sensing the tension between the couple, Tom opts to leave, but Jonathan calms him down and takes him for a walk.
Why don't you try and tell me just what's really going on here?
That night, while staying up late wondering if he will ever learn to trust Jonathan again, Tom sees his father speeding away from the house and follows him. However, once there, while he hides and watches a mysterious interaction, Tom is attacked.
Gonna make me feel like Mike Tyson or something, huh?
Tom beats up the men and returns home. The next morning, Tom confronts his father.
This is none of your concern, Tom.
How much do you owe them?
Then, Tom heads inside and prepares to leave. Beth then confides in Tom about their financial woes and how scared she is that her husband might get hurt, which forces Tom to run out after him. Soon, Tom finds Jonathan banged up, and the duo works together to overpower the men, pay the debt, and as they prepare to leave, Jonathan invites Tom for a celebratory drink. Despite the Crane's invitation to stay for a while longer, hoping to spare them harm from the chaos that seems to follow him around wherever he goes, Tom opts to leave.
I don't think that's such a great idea.
What's the matter?
Says his farewell, and walks away to continue his search for the answers. As everyone gathers for the farewell, unbeknownst to anyone, the all-important picture lies behind the couch, silently vouching for Jonathan. A couple of months later, Tom arrives in Sweet Ridge, Pennsylvania, and goes into a store.
Power's out all over town.
Post office phone's a direct hookup.
Tom then calls the detective he had hired to investigate the picture.
I don't know if there's going to be any incoming telephone service where I'm going.
A homeless Tom sneaks into a gated compound, unaware that it's the private property of Collective Foods, sets up camp, and proceeds to gather some firewood. However, moments later, he's shot and severely injured by security. The next morning, while Tom continues to bleed profusely, a woman named Emily finds him unconscious, takes him home, and calls for help.
I don't know, Emily. The bleeding stopped, but he's not out of the woods yet.
Emily continues looking after Tom until he wakes up 4 days later.
Who are you, mister? Why'd you end up in my life?
She then feeds him some soup, and Tom thanks her profusely. Tom heads into town with Emily, learns that there are no messages for him, and joins her in the town hall. Later, after returning home, Tom asks Emily about her parents, and she flips out in anger, which causes an argument. Once they retire to their separate corners, Tom thinks about the town that's been out of electricity and has had an incomplete blackout for the last 2 weeks. The next morning, Emily goes to apologize to Tom for her outburst the previous night and finds him milking the cows. The duo hangs out the whole day, and Emily asks him about Allison.
And the message you have to rush back into town for, is that all tied up with it?
Tom and Emily get to know each other better, kiss, and prepare to go to a local fundraiser that evening. There, as everyone dances in the dark, the light suddenly comes on.
There's still a way we can win this.
Collective might have 40%, but we still have 60%.
Mesmerized by Emily's tenacity, Tom tells her how proud he is of her, and the duo head home. The couple spends the night together, and in the morning, they prepare to head to Taylor to speak to the lawyer and stop by the store on their way.
Oh, man, am I glad I caught you. That message you've been waiting for.
When Tom leaves to make the call, Emily realizes that he's made his choice, and knowing that he's not ready for a new peaceful life, she makes a tough decision. She puts his bag on the sidewalk, leaves him behind, and speeds to Taylor alone. Inside the store, Tom calls Bert. Once again, Tom sets out alone in the treacherous journey, searching for answers. How long can you keep this up, Tom? A few months later, during the holiday season in Virginia, despite the town starting to light up with the Christmas spirit and decorations, Tom remains in the darkness and observes the festivities, which feel so foreign to him, as if they are not part of the same world he is in. One night, Tom takes a walk around the city and sees a newspaper article that talks about the Senate's delayed investigation into military misconduct and details that the search for the photographer who is behind the key photo is still ongoing. Then, Tom gets a sudden urge to call his house number and dials.
Hi, this is Allison.
And this is Tom.
I thought I was doing this.
As Tom steps out of the phone booth, a group of men surrounds him.
My name's Alex Hilliard, Tom. We've waited a long time for this.
Tom tries to wrap his head around everything and asks some questions.
Why do you think we were looking for you?
Wait.
Once at the safe house, Tom asks the question that has been haunting him for the last few months.
Listen, I don't know what you're talking about.
In a gesture of trust, Sandra then gives Tom her address and personal number, but he discreetly goes through her wallet and finds a different address, which makes him suspicious. Later, while his two security personnel, Rick and Roy, make Christmas dinner and try to bring the festivity into the plane's safe house, Tom discreetly steals their car key and speeds out of the driveway to head to Sandra's address. On the road, Tom notices a car following him, and a violent chase ensues. Soon, the car crashes, and the ambulances are called. Moments later, Sandra arrives on the scene.
You told me you lived in Georgetown. Why'd you lie to me?
As Tom heads into the deposition the next morning, he is reunited with Allison and embraces her.
Yeah, that explains why I saw you with Dr. Bell. Don't just
listen
stay
to
there.
me.
Stay there.
Tom tells Allison how much he missed her, and as he is called into the deposition, he hesitates to leave her, still traumatized by what happened the last time he left her in a room.
The moment I went through the door, somebody grabbed me from behind.
The couple heads to a safe house, and as they spend some quality time together, Tom subtly searches for the mole on his wife's legs to make sure it's really her. In the morning, while out with Allison, Tom hears a news report that seems to make all his sacrifices worth it.
Christmas present for a lot of hard-working people to know that it's finally over.
Tom breathes a sigh of relief for the first time in months and returns to the house where Sandra waits to give him a Christmas present.
This is it. This is really it. It's all here.
Merry Christmas.
Sandra thanks Tom for everything and leaves. Later, while Allison prepares a special Christmas Eve dinner, Tom leaves to retrieve the negatives. Later, Tom returns and finds Allison finishing up with dinner. He then gets the surprise of his life as he finds his mother waiting for him. And as soon as she sees him, she apologizes for everything.
Merry Christmas, Mom.
After dinner, the trio spends a beautiful family evening together. That night, Tom and Allison spent the night together. The next morning, Tom wakes up and finds his duffel bag emptied and the bedroom thrashed. Perplexed, Tom rushes downstairs to find the rest of the house similarly thrashed with no one in sight. Then, as he looks around, Tom finds a tape on which he sees Sandra rehearsing and acting out the arrest scene from the news report, with a few of her colleagues taking the role of the arrested organization hierarchy, and it all comes crashing down on him. Tom won't be able to trust his own shadow after this. Through the ordeal, Tom loses another piece of himself, and after collecting a few of his belongings and stuffing them in his duffel bag, he walks out alone into the wilderness, filled with more questions than ever before. For the next few months, Tom remains in the shadows of the treacherous life, with no contact from anyone he knew from his previous life. Soon, Tom settles in California, hoping to find a trace of his past life in the archives. Tom secures a job as a messenger for a large photo syndicator called Sharma Photo, to whom he had sold a few pictures for syndication previously. One day, while on the job, Tom steals a security key and sneaks into the archives. But before he can find anything, he's chased out by the guard and barely escapes. Then, as he catches his breath outside, Tom receives a page from a mysterious number and returns it.
4th floor, 11 p.m.
Later that night, Tom heads to the Museum of Science to meet the mysterious man.
I'm going to help you because you're going to help me.
Then, out of nowhere, an envelope appears before Tom.
The man you are looking at is Richard Grace. You'll be handed a videotape. I have no doubt you will find it interesting.
Tom gets his hands on the video and watches Richard leading a meeting.
As of now, Thomas J. Vale of Evanston no longer.
Tears roll down Tom's face as he watches the man who had approved his erasure, wiped his existence, and turned him into a living ghost until he receives another page directing him to the next meeting spot.
I hope you enjoyed the video. I also thought that once you knew more about Richard Grace, it would make your decision to kill him.
Then, the voice provides Tom with shocking pictures that depict Allison having an affair with Richard, and he loses his mind in frustration. Nothing about Allison should surprise you anymore, Tom. Later, Tom returns to his room and is shocked to find a document waiting for him on his bed. Terrified, Tom goes around the room inspecting each corner and making sure his negatives are still in their hiding place. And once satisfied, he proceeds to the document and finds detailed information on Richard, along with his picture. The next morning, Tom heads out to Richard's house and surveils him from a distance, reminding himself that despite everything Richard has put him through, killing him wouldn't make much of a positive impact in his life. Tom follows Richards to a local bookstore and observes from a distance as he enters, talks to the clerk, and proceeds inside. After waiting a few minutes, Tom enters the bookstore, searches for Richards, but is perplexed to find no sign of him.
Looking for a man, actually. A friend of mine. I thought I saw him going to that back.
However, as he leaves the bookstore, Tom is chased by a mysterious black car but manages to escape on his motorcycle. Later, the man orders Tom to meet him in the confessionals of a local church.
You came extremely close to putting our arrangement in jeopardy.
We don't have an arrangement.
Tom exits his side of the confessional booth and swiftly opens the other side, hoping to lay eyes on the mysterious man guiding him, but is disappointed to find no one, and instead sees a gun and a tape recorder waiting for him. Later, Tom returns to his room and listens to the tape, which gives him a detailed layout of Richard's house.
The code is 47223.
That night, Tom heads to Richard's house, reminding himself that he would benefit from getting some answers rather than getting revenge, and discreetly enters. He then heads to Richard's office, trying to find anything that can give him the information he needs, and when he fails to get any, he opens the drawers, which, unbeknownst to him, alerts Richard, who equips himself with a gun and proceeds to the office. Meanwhile, Tom finds more pictures of Allison and Richard together, sees red, and decides to ambush Richard.
Put it down.
Look, I don't
very little.
Before Tom can pull the trigger, he is knocked out by a man named Max, who appears out of nowhere. Max then kills Richards and disappears. Tom wakes up minutes later, and not seeing the matchbook he had dropped containing the name of the hotel he's staying at, he rushes out. Later, Tom hears the incident on the news. Then, as Tom returns to his hotel, he sees it swarming with police officers. Tom sneaks into his room, starts packing up his clothes, and when he tries to retrieve the negatives, he's gutted to learn that they have been stolen. Soon, the police knock on his door, and after cleaning up his bleeding hand, Tom answers the door.
You mind if I take a look around, Mr. Vale?
Unfortunately, the officer notices Tom's bloodied clothes and alerts his colleagues, which forces Tom to hit him, jump out of the window, and exit through the fire escape while officers follow him. Luckily, as soon as he reaches the ground, a woman appears out of nowhere, invites him to get in her car, and drives him off.
What happens now?
I was just told to bring you here.
Then, the man shows the frustrated Tom a report linking Richard's murder to his gardener, which proves that Tom's not on the police's radar. As Tom thinks about this, he finds his negatives laid out in front of him.
I had them, and I returned them. Call it a show of good faith, Tom.
Tom is then left to wonder whether taking the tape and partnering with the mysterious man will be worth it. A few days later, the mysterious man gives him a small tablet-sized computer in which he finds the file of Commander Cyrus Quinn, who, after leading a distinguished military career, has founded a paramilitary political action group called the American Guard. Tom then learns that there's a rigorous application process required to get to Cyrus's program and starts to closely follow a man named Jimmy Carn, who has passed all the tests and has gotten an invitation to join. One evening, Tom follows Jimmy to a bus stop and closely monitors his actions.
Big mistake, Kearns. You called us on a public telephone. It's the Klamath Falls. There's somebody there to meet you.
As Tom sits on the bench, going through Jimmy's bag, the American Guard arrives, bags him, and drives him away.
Hoods off, ladies. We don't have all night.
Later, despite being warned not to talk to one another, Tom chats with his roommate, Gary.
No, they said no talking.
Right, that's why they bunked us together.
In the dead of night, the recruits are called onto the deck, and as they file in, number 2 starts to question the methods, which infuriates Knox into throwing him overboard into the freezing water. Shocked, Tom tries to rescue the man but is held off at gunpoint.
You will not have an attitude. You are not individuals.
Horrified by what happened, Tom pulls Gary aside to talk to him.
We can't have any weak links here.
He killed him, Gary, in cold blood.
Later, Knox comes to Tom and Gary's quarters to order them to stay in their quarters until the boat reaches the rendezvous point and finds Tom's notebook.
I thought that I could maybe learn something from you.
An hour later, the boat reaches its destination, docks, and the recruits get off to board trucks, which take them to the training camp deep in the woods. As soon as they arrive, Knox dismisses the trainees to their barracks until an announcement comes on.
Knox, this is unacceptable. I want to see you in my office now.
Knox goes to see his superior, Cyrus, whom he whimpers in front of and tries to explain himself.
Sir, I found one of the recruits making these notes.
Later, the recruits are taken to a dark room and soon visited by Cyrus, who makes an impassioned speech.
You will be asked to sacrifice. Each of you will be asked just one question.
The intensive training continues around the camp, and the recruits are driven to their breaking points each day. One evening, after a tough training session, Knox and his colleague Jackson lead the players in a game of willpower, in which each one of them is required to hold their hands over the flame of a candle, enduring the heat, to show that they have the willpower to overcome hardship and do anything they are asked to. A few minutes into the game, Gary is called upon, and when he's too scared to make a move, Jackson forces his hand, which pushes the young man over the edge, and he takes Jackson at gunpoint.
You have the willpower to kill me? Huh?
However, just as Gary lowers his gun, he's neutralized by Jackson. Later that night, Tom sneaks into the commander's quarters and tries to ambush Cyrus.
Got some questions for you, Commander Quinn.
Hoping to find out the identity of the daring intruder, Cyrus has Tom's picture taken and sent to his superiors.
Don't you think you should know who I am?
I know who you are.
As soon as Tom is taken to the hole, Cyrus calls his superiors.
Absolutely, I will see to it that he goes unharmed.
Following Cyrus's orders, a soldier frees Tom. Outside, while Tom tries to escape through the woods, Knox follows him to kill him. Luckily, Tom uses his wit and knocks Knox out before returning to the commander's office.
If we had hung 4 people in the jungle, I'd know it. Never happened.
What do you mean? Not in the jungle? Where then?
Somebody important enough that you have been given orders not to kill.
Before Tom can get any answers, operatives from the organization swarm the camp. Hearing this, Tom rushes out of the office, locks Cyrus in the hole, rescues Gary, and, after an intense chase, the duo flees the camp while Cyrus is killed by the operatives. Tom spends the next few months going through and studying the data on his small computer, and an address catches his attention. He tracks this address to a nursing home in Minnesota and gets a job there. One morning, while on his shift, Tom approaches a resident named Rudy.
Kind of upsetting to some of your friends.
Mary made one.
Despite being perplexed by this, Tom moves on to his next task, and as he takes some food to a resident named Max, he finds him having a tender moment with his wife, Pauline, who spends the majority of her day spending time with her beloved husband and wonders if he will ever get to live a normal life and get to grow old with a companion. Later, Tom approaches Pauline to ask her about Rudy's remarks.
Know anything about some patients named Judy? Or Mary?
Suddenly, Pauline sees Dr. John Shazen arriving, excuses herself, and runs to talk to him. Minutes later, Tom sees the duo talking very intimately and wonders what it could be about. The next morning, as Tom starts his shift, he hears shocking news.
Yeah, Nurse Whiteford told him about a half hour ago.
Hoping to wrap his head around the unexpected news, Tom approaches the director, Miss Whiteford.
Coronary, she was in perfect health.
Knowing Max is the only family Pauline had, Tom has a hard time accepting what he's told and wonders what could have happened to the vibrant old lady. Following his gut, Tom goes through Pauline's medical history and learns that Pauline had no chronic medical condition and hasn't even had the flu in the last 3 years. However, as he continues his search, Tom is baffled to learn that, despite being in perfect health, Pauline had been sent for a series of tissue tests at a place called Advanced Biogenetics Laboratory by Dr. John. Tom heads to the laboratory, sneaks inside, and as he walks through the curious halls of the gigantic laboratory, a nurse recognizes that he's an outsider, alerts the security, and Tom is chased by numerous guards until he manages to find his way out. Hoping to find out more about what he should be looking for, Tom returns to the nursing home to speak to Rudy and is alarmed to find him lying on the floor of a bathroom.
They tell lies.
I know they know.
Later, Tom breaks into Ms. Whiteford's office, and after searching through the database for the women mentioned by Rudy, he learns that all of the women, who were apparently healthy, had gotten a tissue sampled by the advanced biogenetics laboratory right before their death. While thinking about this, Tom walks out of the office, and as he passes by Max's room, he sees him being comforted by a young woman and waits until she steps out to talk to her.
It's important. I'd just like to talk to you for a second.
Unnerved by the young woman's strange familiarity, Tom calls out Pauline's name and is shocked when the young woman responds.
I flew in as soon as I heard about my Aunt Pauline's death.
Oh.
The next day, Tom heads into the laboratory, reads Pauline's chart, and first goes to the constructive solid modeling observation room to learn what goes on. There, Tom watches in horror as the medical team places an implant in the patient's cervical spine.
We should have full autonomous control in 15 minutes.
Then, Tom follows Dr. John into the next room, where a team of experts watches as Mary efficiently carries out her training.
Good work, people. Let's set up a level 5 simulation in 20.
Worried for Pauline's welfare, Tom sneaks into her room later and talks to her.
Is to prevent infection.
Using you. I just overheard Shazen saying they can destroy the implant. Did you know about that?
Tom leaves the room, searches for Pauline's name on the computer, and learns that she hasn't been assigned a task yet. He then searches Mary's name and is shocked to learn that she's been assigned to kill a judge. Then, with a racing heart and trembling hands, Tom searches his own name, and after a series of detailed results, he's stunned to see Allison's face on the screen.
Who are you?
And you're using the implant to control her, too?
Who is Allison? Seriously. Angered, Dr. John orders the men to take Tom to the modeling room, and as Pauline discreetly watches from the adjacent room, he prepares him for implantation.
Think about what's going to happen to you when the director discovers you've murdered one of his pet projects.
Well played, Tom. Later, with Pauline's help, Tom escapes from the security guard transporting him and prepares to leave.
Get out of this place while you still can. Go!
Once safely outside, Tom calls 911.
Let me connect you with the sheriff's department. Please hold.
Elsewhere, before the police arrive, Mary seduces the judge and kills him. Moments later, the police arrive at the laboratory, and Tom leads them in. However, once inside, they are confused to find the place completely cleared out, and Dr. John impersonates a police officer and flees the compound. Soon, Tom notices that all the beautiful young women have turned back to their original old age and is gutted to find a confused old Pauline, who, unlike her previous healthy state, is completely unaware of her surroundings and kindly dances with her. Following a name and an address from the computer, Tom travels to Rockwater, Colorado, and hitches a ride from a local man named Hank.
Do they make a living off that stuff?
No, I got a repair shop back in town. Guess you don't know much about what's been going on around here the last couple of years.
Hoping to get a ride into town from one of them, Tom is forced to wait with the locals, while skeptically analyzing all that they are claiming about the presence of a supernatural force. However, soon a bright light illuminates the sky, and strange electrical phenomena occur all around the area, which fascinates everyone. The next morning, the sheriff arrives on the scene.
Damn ship came right over our heads and whoosh, went out over that hill and over these flats.
Then, Tom approaches the town's resident UFO expert, Bud Atkins, to ask him about John's disappearance.
I'm sure there was a pretty thorough investigation before the details you have to...
Bud gives Tom a ride into town and takes him to the Meyerson residence. There, Tom finds Helen in her kitchen and has a strange interaction with her, as she spends most of the time quietly staring at the TV screen.
I wanted to talk to you about, your father.
Later, Tom runs into Hank.
I guess considering the way her father treated her, it's amazing she's even half normal.
Later, Hank arrives at the burnt circle early, and as he inspects the surroundings using his metal detector, a strange phenomenon accompanied by a bright light occurs, and he disappears into thin air.
How'd you get tied up with Hank? Well, a man's disappeared. In my book, that's kind of personal, too.
After finding a mysterious medallion in the field, Tom tries to talk to Helen about the incident.
He told me he came by to see you yesterday.
That's right, so did you.
That night, Tom breaks into Hank's shop and is surprised to run into Helen. Tom and Helen then follow Hank's map and head out to a field.
There's something here.
What?
I don't know, something buried.
Then, all of a sudden, just like what had happened to Hank, as Tom inspects the ground with a metal detector, a strange surge occurs, followed by a series of lights. But luckily, the duo manages to escape the mysterious circle surrounded by fire.
It was them.
That night, Helen takes Tom to her father's warehouse at the back of the house, where they discover a strange experiment.
It's not plugged in.
To make matters more curious, Helen soon discovers that the strange current is not only limited to the trains, but also to the whole house.
Whatever that is, look good at digital lights. It's like the sightings.
Hoping to learn more about the ordeal, Helen and Tom head to the Weaver Institute, where Mr. Weaver appears distressed by Helen's questions.
A train.
Meanwhile, Tom sneaks around the facility and is shocked to see Bud leading a board meeting.
I had your butt out of here long ago. Are you going to be able to do what I've asked you to do?
On their way back, Tom and Helen discuss the case.
Kept reassuring me and telling me that everything would be okay.
The duo then follows Bud and heads to a nearby abandoned farm where they face him.
Well, you've come this far, Helen. I suppose you'll be wanting to see.
Bud then takes them to a gigantic underground facility while giving them a tour.
Receiving electricity is as easy as placing a television antenna on your roof.
A few minutes later, Helen's excited to be reunited with her father.
Nobody did this to you, did they? This is your project. She's your daughter.
She's her mother's daughter. I had nothing to say about it.
Who says that?
You know, using your UFO phenomena to cover up the testing is more effective than you might have imagined.
Tom then overpowers the guard who apprehends him, throws the medallion onto the machines to disrupt the magnetic field, and causes absolute mayhem. He then grabs Helen and runs out along with a few of the other staff, while John is killed in the incident, and soon the whole structure explodes. A few weeks later, following information from the computer, Tom heads to Darby, New York. There, as Tom walks to his room, he bumps into a local politician named Jim Hubbard, and as they exchange apologies, Tom notices a strange mark on Jim and wonders what it is. Later, Tom arrives at the house, and despite knocking on the door, his tenant, Elsie, remains in the living room, completely absorbed in the TV program. Hence, Tom is forced to wait until the show ends and is finally welcomed inside. Later, Tom drives around the neighborhood, wondering why he was sent to such a quaint, peaceful, all-American town, which is preparing for the upcoming election, and almost hits a boy named Michael and rushes out to check on him.
You gotta get me out of here. Don't want to be here anymore. There's nobody left.
Perplexed by the young boy's reaction to his own friends, Tom decides to look into his claims and goes to the school to speak to Janet.
You are obviously here on a significantly less important mission.
Not knowing what else he can do, Tom returns to the house that evening and finds Elise's kids glued to the TV, repeating and responding to everything the officer on the show says. Then, Elise offers to introduce Tom to her husband, Ed, and takes him inside, where they find Ed working on posters advertising Jim as the best candidate for the upcoming election.
Jim Hubbard's the best thing to come down the pike in years. Hey, you know anything about him?
Later that night, Tom hears some noise, goes outside, and is bewildered to find everyone cleaning the streets, as if it were broad daylight. The next day, the whole town stops and watches Jim's impassioned speech in utter focus, except Michael, who Tom finds sitting by himself at the school.
You'd think the only things that anybody cared about are picking up trash or...
So what does your mom think about all this?
You ask her. I'm the only problem around here.
Hoping to calm down the distressed teenager, Tom gives him something special.
See how small it makes everything look?
Fearing that Michael's claims may be grounded in some truth, Tom visits Janet once more.
I was told not to talk to you.
Who told you that?
Principal Hopper?
The duo then heads to Jim's campaign headquarters and is surprised by what they see.
I see you decided to go for the right man.
Well, I'm thinking.
Suddenly, a fire alarm blares in the building, forcing everyone out. But instead of exiting the building with the rest of the people, Tom and Janet break into Jim's office. There, while Tom finds curious contact lenses and tries to find out more about them, Janet glances at the TV and notices a logo on one side, which seems to mesmerize her inexplicably. And she starts repeating the words and responding to the show like everyone else until Tom turns the TV off. Unfortunately, moments later, Jim and his men arrive and catch the duo, and his men take each to the back room. Later, the men drive Tom to the house, put their contact lenses on before leaving the car, and escort him inside, where he is made to watch TV.
Hardly wait. Yummy, yummy, in the tummy. We have... Come on, Martha. Let's go inside.
The next morning, to the horror of Michael, Tom rises early and joins the locals as they put up signs for Jim's campaign around the neighborhood. Later, while Tom helps out at Jim's campaign headquarters with Janet, Michael comes to see him.
I came here to talk to Tom.
Hey, what's going on? What are you doing?
What has happened to Tom? Having it back suddenly grounds Tom, and he starts to realize that something is seriously wrong. Later, he returns to the house, turns down the family's offer to watch some TV, and heads to his room. Tom is suddenly plagued with flashes of memories from his hidden agenda picture, which takes him back to what he had witnessed in the jungle. And after recalling that he had seen the same mark in the jungle, he realizes that the now politician had been the one running the show there. The next morning, Tom discreetly approaches Michael.
Sorry about what I said to you before, but they were listening. Tell me what's wrong with your eyesight.
I can't focus right without him. It's kind of complicated.
Michael then directs Tom to the Home Channel Network's building, where he finds numerous pieces of evidence suggesting that Jim is brainwashing the town and takes pictures of them. However, a few minutes later, Jim arrives at the building. As Jim heads inside, he's surprised to see Tom there and with a drawn gun walks up on him.
From what I've been told, you're quite a renowned photographer. Or you used to be.
Hoping to gain control of the situation, Jim turns on the TV and forces Tom to stare at the hypnotizing logo. The next thing Tom knows, he finds himself helping out with Jim's upcoming speech. However, when the coast is clear, Tom heads to the back room and sets up a small machine in the control room before resuming his duties. A few minutes later, a frustrated Michael arrives and questions Tom's motives and scolds him for joining the mindless community. Overhearing this, Jim pulls Tom aside and gives him some orders.
Okay, I'll take him home.
No. Get rid of him, Tom.
Did he just ask him to kill a kid? The audacity. Pretending to follow the subtle order, Tom walks Michael out and drives him away. After a few minutes, as Michael and Tom watch a TV screen through the machine Tom had set up earlier, the logo suddenly disappears from the screen, seemingly releasing the public from Jim's spell. Then, as if awakening from a deep hypnotized state, the people who had just been glued to their TV suddenly get up and walk away. Then, as Tom had orchestrated, the footage of Jim holding Tom at gunpoint and threatening him comes on the screen, shocking the community, who quickly abandon Jim's campaign.
You're a fool. It doesn't matter what happens to me. You can't stop them. They're just getting started.
A couple of days later, Tom watches as the network leaves town and prepares to set off into the wilderness, alone. Tom spends a few weeks wondering how any of the secret missions he's been accomplishing will help him find the answers he's looking for. Just as he starts to lose faith in his unconventional partnership with the mysterious traitor from the company, he receives a directive to Washington, D.C., and once there, receives a mysterious call from him.
Careful, Tom. It won't serve you well to lose your sense of humor.
Unbeknownst to Tom, the mysterious man Alexander Hale had been identified as a traitor by the organization.
My, how you people hate to lose control.
Later, as the operatives monitor remotely, Tom meets Alexander and greets him with hostility.
I don't have the answers, you do.
You have more answers than you might think.
Reluctantly, Tom starts narrating what had transpired when he was on an assignment in Nicaragua.
I was counting the days until I could go home.
Years ago, Tom visited Harrison at his home.
Beautiful women down here. Have you sampled the local menu?
Then Harrison takes Tom and introduces him to his source.
Es tu dinero, es tu placer.
No.
Then, to Tom's surprise, Angela shows him the U.S. Army dog tags.
It's U.S. Army dog tags, but there's no U.S. military activity down here.
After following Angela's map and driving around for hours, a frustrated Tom gets out of the car but soon notices U.S. Army vehicles. Then, as the duo wonders what's going on, the vehicles proceed further into the jungle and arrive at a secret base.
Oh, I just love hearing you speak in foreign tongues. Now help me with this.
The duo then discreetly sneaks into the base, peeks into a tent, and sees a group of people making U.S. Army uniforms.
Whatever you're thinking has got to make more sense than what I'm thinking.
That'll be the first time.
The duo steals some Army uniforms, poses as soldiers, and joins the group as they head out. After a few minutes of driving, the soldiers get off the truck and are ordered to head to their bunks.
So you got any thoughts as to who the hell these people are?
Only who they aren't.
Using his wit, Harrison dismisses soldiers guarding an operations room, where Tom enters, finds it filled with maps, and takes pictures.
It appeared they had a very tight communications network in place.
Unfortunately, before the duo can celebrate their discovery, the soldiers arrive and kill Harrison. Then, as they proceed to kill Tom, the soldiers are ambushed by a group of locals who take Tom as a prisoner.
Look, check my credentials. Look at my bag. Freelance. I was down here working with a friend.
The people then untie Tom.
So what are these people doing down here?
You mean besides killing our families?
As a relieved Tom steps out, the soldiers suddenly arrive and ambush the group and transport them to the base. Tom hides in the jungle, discreetly follows the trucks, and takes pictures as the soldiers hang the people. At present, Tom concludes his story.
And you really believe everything you just told me?
Angered by his betrayal, the organization starts torturing Alexander remotely through the implants.
Everything you remember, Tom. It isn't real.
What do you mean it never happened? He saw it with his own eyes.
It never happened.
Before he can explain any further, Alexander is killed by the organization, leaving Tom utterly confused and forcing him to flee the restaurant. Tom then heads to exit 28, walks through the woods, and is flabbergasted to find the scene of the hanging, from the small shack to the gallows, only a few miles away from the White House. Overtaken by sheer shock, Tom remains frozen in place, doubting his own sanity for hours. I am as confused and as shocked as you are here, Tom. No longer sure where Hidden Agenda was taken or what it was about, Tom searches his computer and finds a journalist named Claire, who had been working in his station a few days before Hidden Agenda was taken, and goes to Colorado to speak to her and find out the authenticity of the events he once believed took place. In Colorado, using an old reconnaissance officer, Robert McMillan's name, Tom gets a motel and goes to a bar in the evening. There, as he gets a drink, a friendly woman approaches him, refers to him by his real name, and talks to him about their adventures of the previous night. Suspicious, Tom takes the woman outside and questions her.
What put you up to this?
What are you doing? What do you want, huh?
Later, after receiving the message Tom had left with her mother, Claire calls Tom at the motel.
Listen, if you could just...
Stay away from me. You stay away from my house and stay away from my mother.
Tom then heads to Claire's house in the dead of night and tries to sneak in.
Tom? What on earth are you doing here?
Amused by the fact that Claire had addressed him by his name without ever meeting him before, Tom follows her into her house.
So how'd they come out?
Fine. Where do you know me from, Claire? I mean, do you remember how we first met?
Claire reacts quickly, holds Tom at gunpoint, and throws him out of the house, warning him never to return.
Robert McMillan is dead.
The next day, Tom finds a photo studio in his name and heads inside, hoping to get to the bottom of everything.
I finally finished the display show. What do you think?
Once he's alone, Tom calls Claire to apologize and make things right.
Look, I'll come by your office. You can leave the photographs with Jeanette.
I'm at home right now, but why don't we just meet somewhere?
To learn more about the man who has been impersonating him, Tom subtly gets his home address from the assistant and heads there. Tom discreetly enters the house, and as he quietly walks around, he's shocked to his core to find the Hidden Agenda picture hanging on the wall. However, Tom is forced to collect himself quickly as the door opens and the impersonator enters. Tom escapes through the back door. Meanwhile, having been ordered to retrieve some pictures from Tom as soon as possible, Claire heads to the man's house, rushes inside, and is shocked to see the Hidden Agenda.
Tom, I didn't know for sure if it even existed.
The man then kills Claire. Elsewhere, after waiting for Claire for a couple of hours, Tom calls her office.
Where is she? I thought maybe the two of you had run away together.
Disappointed, Tom returns to his motel, wondering if his journey to Colorado was a trap. And just as he proceeds to enter his room, he sees police officers swarming the motel, rushes inside, and proceeds to pack his stuff. However, when he opens the closet, he's shocked to find the lifeless body of Claire stuffed inside. Feeling trapped, Tom quickly exits the room, and as he proceeds to go down, the officers find him.
Detective Tanner, this is Detective McCluskey.
Why are you registered under the name McMillan?
Back in the room, the detectives question Tom.
Her mother said you came to the house. You told her your name was McMillan.
Mrs. Hilliard's confused.
Moments later, to the confusion and relief of Tom, the detective opens the closet, but finds it empty. Then, as Tom breathes a restrained sigh of relief, he's taken to the station. Once there, Tom gets a visitor.
It seems as if there is some confusion as to who you actually are. So this other Thomas Vale is not only using your name, he also looks...
He lives at 2417 North Hamilton.
After visiting the doppelganger, Jane returns to the station to speak to Tom.
You've seen him, haven't you?
Yeah. These are the negatives of the photographs, Tom.
Tom leaves the station with Jane to get the negatives, and the duo drives away. Tom then retrieves the negatives and calls Jane.
I'll see you later.
8:45.
Later, at the pier, as Tom walks towards Jane, he's shot and killed.
These are ours. What the hell was he doing here?
Meanwhile, Tom drives away on a bus while listening to his taped conversation with Jane. Then, no longer trusting the information he finds on it, he throws the computer away and continues on his way. A few days later at a bus station, Tom quietly monitors a drop used by the organization, finally sees some movement, and follows the man out of the station. However, the man turns out to be bait, and two men ambush Tom and drag him.
Okay, how about telling me where we're going?
Just a little trip, friend.
After a few minutes of driving, the trio arrives at a house.
All right, Sleeping Beauty. This is where you get off.
Tom reluctantly walks inside and finds it completely empty. But before he can react to this, all the windows and doors spontaneously lock, shutting him inside. Calming his nerves, Tom goes around the house, checking every room, finds a mirror, and as he stands before it, he sees a scene from his childhood unfold. Decades earlier, 10-year-old Tom takes his best friend Laura to his secret fort in the attic of a farmhouse.
You know you're the only person who's ever been in here?
Feeling adventurous, Tom then climbs out onto the roof to appreciate the view, but unfortunately falls down. At present, as if personally re-experiencing the event, Tom is suddenly jolted awake out of the memory and searches the house for answers. Tom then finds a door ajar, walks out of it, finds himself facing a group of soldiers preparing to shoot him, and jumps back inside. Later, Tom enters a room and is transported to his college years, to the day he had waited for Laura at the train station.
I didn't think you were going to be here.
What are you talking about?
You didn't call after my letter.
Tom then takes Laura to his apartment, where she gives him a vintage camera as a present.
It's used, but the guy at the camera store said it's in terrific shape.
I love it. I can't take it.
Tom, it's a present.
The couple then spent the night together. At present, Tom finds himself lying in bed, seemingly trapped in his own momentarily paralyzed body, and sees an operative enjoying his torment.
Oh, don't worry. The effect only lasts for about 20 minutes.
Tom suddenly gets up and charges at the condescending man, but is shocked to find that he's just a hologram. Tom then goes into a room, finds a small mirror, and is once again transported back to the time he was living in Belfast with Laura.
I had no idea Belfast would be like this.
You know, London can be pretty dreary this time of year, too.
I just don't want to be around while you photograph the other half of Belfast being bombed out.
Tom is then suddenly jolted to the present by the man's question.
How confusing the beams from Memory's lab.
Tom is forced to relive a memory from years prior. Just as the driver turns back, a bomb explodes nearby, and Tom rushes out to capture the carnage. However, there, his worst nightmare is realized, as he soon learns that Laura is fatally injured. At present, reliving the worst moment of his life all over again, Tom falls to his knees and screams at the top of his lungs in sheer agony.
You've suffered enough now, Tom. You've learned your lesson.
Utterly defeated, Tom joins the man outside the house, ready to lead him to the negatives. However, when he gets into the car, he finds a vintage camera, looks through it, and is suddenly transported back to a memory with Laura.
No matter what I said before, I want you to know that your pursuit of the truth, I think it's the noblest quality you have.
At present, his life and everything he has endured and witnessed flash before Tom's eyes and seemingly give him the clarity and the courage he needs to push through. Summoning all his strength, Tom crashes the car, jumps out, and continues his exhausting journey, with Laura's words echoing in his mind. A few days later, after convincing a contact to give him a list of company operatives, Tom anxiously waits to hear from him, and he soon gets a call.
They'll kill me if they even know I'm talking to you.
Look, they don't have to know.
Unfortunately, before Tom can leave the phone booth, he's ambushed by an operative demanding the negatives and barely manages to escape. With the man in tow, Tom runs as fast as he can and tries to hide in an alleyway, but is unexpectedly attacked and robbed of his duffel bag containing the negatives by a member of a violent street gang. Tom then goes to a clinic to get some treatment for his injuries.
The Mac boys. You get mixed up with them, there's not going to be enough left of you to sew up.
Once discharged, and with only a few hours left to his meeting, Tom heads to the daunting and spooky Mac Boys territory to retrieve his bag.
I'm not looking for trouble.
And I guess you came to the wrong place.
Hey.
Severely beaten, Tom manages to pick himself up, dusts himself off, and proceeds to leave until he sees a young girl named Margot being attacked by a man and rushes over, beats the man, and frees her.
I'm not gonna hurt you, I just want to see if you're okay.
Tom slowly enters the building and is shocked to find numerous lifeless bodies inside. He then hears a gunshot, follows it, learns that Tiny's been killed, and quickly runs after the operative who had just committed the crimes and stolen the negative. However, despite catching up with the operative, Tom is severely beaten by him and is knocked out. Meanwhile, the rest of the Mac Boys hear the news and rush to Tiny's apartment.
Who saw this?
I did. He wasn't from around here.
As Tom tries to track the injured operative, he's spotted and chased around the shady neighborhood by the Mac boys, until he hides in a church and finds some respite. On the other side of the neighborhood, the operative makes a call.
Mark point and hold position, Angler. We're rolling.
Meanwhile, while continuing his exhausting search, Tom runs into Margot.
What are you doing here?
I've been trying to find you for hours.
Margot helps Tom navigate the neighborhood, and the duo manages to evade capture. With his meeting only an hour away, Tom finally manages to locate the operative, and as he walks towards him, he is unfortunately captured by Mackie, along with Margot.
Somebody just wasted Blaze. I saw it.
Where?
I'm McCarty.
I'm telling you, that's the guy you're looking for!
How lucky was that? The gang locates the operative just as he's being driven out of the neighborhood, ambushes the car, and as Tom and Margot watch in horror, beats him to death. Tom then rushes to the body, searches it, and is relieved to finally have the negatives. Tom thanks Margot and rushes to his meeting. Unfortunately, as soon as he arrives there, Tom is gutted to see his contact leaving and runs after his car to no avail. Then, putting some clues together, Tom heads to a nearby radio station and is flabbergasted to find a pencil and a smoked cigar sitting on a table and wonders how it all ties in. 9 months into his fugitive life, Tom starts to wonder if he will ever return to his previous life. On top of everything he has to deal with, the absolute absence of meaningful human relationships puts a great deal of strain on him and pushes him to start doubting his own memory and sanity. To make matters worse, Tom suddenly becomes an insomniac, goes 9 days without a wink of sleep, and goes to a hospital to find out the cause and find a solution. Then, after a series of tests, Tom meets with the doctor.
In the hospital in Illinois.
You've heard of it?
To get to the bottom of everything, Tom decides to sneak back to Callaway's Psychiatric facility, the facility he was admitted to at the beginning of the ordeal. And with each step around the halls, he's flooded by the traumatic few days he had spent there. Unfortunately, after only a few minutes of sneaking around the halls, Tom is caught by the staff.
Is this really necessary?
A few minutes later, Tom is utterly shocked to recognize the man posing as Dr. Novick.
JC.
Later, JC visits Tom in his room.
Oh, here we go again, huh? Back to JC.
What was your childhood like?
Tom discreetly follows the nurse to the record room, where he finds JC's video, bumps into her, and expertly exchanges it with his. Later, Tom advises a newly admitted man named Michael, who has suffered the same fate as him.
The people you care about are in danger.
What are you saying? That Novick is part of this?
On the other side of the facility, Tom finds JC watching his own video from when he was a patient.
I didn't make this up. Why is it such a leap?
Once he's alone, JC looks up his file and is shocked to realize that Tom had been telling him the truth. Then he dials the number from his file and is heartened to hear his daughter Emily's voice on the other side. Then Tom checks in on Michael.
What's happening to me?
You got something to want.
Meanwhile, JC spends hours thinking about everything he has discovered until he's interrupted by his boss.
No, I was just thinking about the case.
Then, after putting Tom through a painful procedure, JC discreetly hands him a sleeping pill, which Tom later takes and gets a good night's sleep. The next morning, Tom is awakened and taken to speak to Dr. Novick.
How do you know what you know?
I think you were trying to tell me something. I just couldn't figure out what it was.
Then, as JC heads back to his office, he's surprised to see his boss waiting for him.
I see you've accessed the main computer to pull down some extra file. All set for tomorrow's procedure?
All set.
That night, Tom sneaks out of his room, frees Michael, and the duo manages to exit the building. But they are soon caught by JC and a guard.
Why did I listen to you? They were gonna let me go, now they're never gonna believe me.
Then, to everyone's shock, just as the guard loads the duo into the car, JC knocks him out, drugs him, and starts driving the car. Unfortunately, all of this is caught on the camera, and the boss soon sees it. The trio then heads into a gas station, and while JC goes into the store, Tom and Michael refill the tank.
What do you know about this guy, Novick?
I don't trust anybody.
Soon, numerous operatives start following the trio, which forces the trio to abandon the car and run into the nearby woods.
I'm sorry. They told me I'd end up like you. I just want this to be over.
Then, the men go their separate ways, and as Tom flees on the back of a truck, he rethinks everything. Sometime later, Tom finds himself in a hospital without a single clue about how he ended up there.
What is this place?
Before he can process any of this, a beaming Allison comes up to him.
Welcome back.
After a week of intense physical therapy, Tom is released from the hospital.
The doctor explained it, Tom.
None of it is real.
Tom is unable to accept anything Allison tells him as he's haunted by her betrayals and shocks her by suddenly ordering her to stop the car and running out. Tom then heads to his studio and sneaks in through the same window he had used the night the whole ordeal started and runs around checking every corner.
Excuse me, sir. You Thomas Vale?
Mr. Vale, please. Private property. Get out of here.
Your wife sent us here. She worried sick about you, Mr. Vale.
The officers drive Tom to his house, and he slowly walks up to the door while fighting off memories from the fateful night and enters.
Whether you believe it or not, I am your wife and I love you.
To make matters more shocking, moments later, Larry comes to visit Tom.
So you had a good sleep, huh? You look the same to me.
Once they're alone, Tom questions Larry.
When was it that you and I first met?
Look, this is...
Overwhelmed by this realization, Tom remains frozen and tries to reconcile everything in his mind, but accomplishes nothing except exhausting himself. Hence, Tom takes a nap, and when he wakes up later, he overhears Allison having a conversation and listens in.
I told you I haven't decided yet. He's here now.
Allison then takes Tom to the studio to show him the preparations.
His hidden agenda.
Honey, I honestly don't know what you're talking about.
Then, as the madness continues, Larry arrives at the studio.
You're not careful, Tom. You're going to set a fire with that thing.
Well, I might just have to do that, Larry.
Tom then asks Larry to leave with him, and ignoring Allison's pleas, exits the studio. Then, Tom suddenly realizes something.
You were in a car accident, buddy. You were in the hospital.
Can you remember when I came back from South America, I gave you an envelope, I told you to put it in your safe in your office?
Yeah.
The duo heads to Larry's office building, but as Larry enters his office, he's attacked by a man whom Tom chases away.
Believe me now?
Not everything in the world revolves around your problems, Tom. I think, but they didn't get it.
They just left something else in its place.
Then, as Larry drives Tom home, they discuss the curious case.
If you can prove that you were somewhere else during the 3 months that Allison said that you were in the
Don't you think I've already thought of that?
Tom then enters the house and carries out his plan perfectly.
That everything you and the doctor had said is true, and he told me about you calling me.
The next day, Tom goes to the hospital, sneaks into the records room, and finds out the day of his admission.
Allison's had the whole town out looking for you. Your opening's tonight.
Following his gut, Tom heads to the Evanston Tribune, where everyone greets him and welcomes him as one of their own, searches his locker, and is relieved to find the negatives. That evening, Tom heads to his opening.
Have you seen Larry?
Oh, you know him. He's probably out in the corner scaring up a date.
Tom fails to reach Larry on the phone and, sensing that something is wrong, heads to his house and, fighting off the traumatizing memories, heads to his bedroom. However, there, Tom is gutted to find Larry's lifeless body, and as he mourns his best friend for a second time, he finds an earring. Scarred by the discovery, Tom returns to the now empty studio to confront Allison.
I guess the honeymoon is over. Give them to me.
Tom then calmly hands Allison a negative.
Thank you.
No, you won't, Allison.
Once outside, Tom breathes a sigh of relief and walks away. Plagued with numerous memories he can no longer be certain are factual. A few days later, upon studying the hidden agenda negatively, Tom finds a radio frequency number and takes it to an expert.
Immediate downsizing. Use extreme.
Tom then heads to a nearby heritage house, flirts with the secretary named Jenny, and convinces her to show him to the restroom. Moments later, the building is swarmed by a group of men who murder everyone in the building, except Jenny and Tom, who luckily escape by hiding in a toilet stall. Jenny then takes Tom to her friend's apartment, and the duo waits until the phone lines are repaired to make a call.
I'm kind of a journalist.
And you think Heritage House has something to do with this?
I do now. Yeah.
Soon, an operative gains entry to the apartment under the ruse of fixing the phone lines and tries to kill Tom. Luckily, Jenny intervenes, kills the man, and rescues him. The duo then flees the apartment. Later, the duo gets off the bus and Jenny makes the call.
Codename Firebird, Section 12.
Tom forces Stanley into their van and questions him while Jenny drives.
I'm Assistant Director Stanley Robman.
Elsewhere, the organization tries to locate the director.
They'll be coming to us soon enough.
In the van, Tom continues questioning the director.
Who's conducting those experiments?
That's the reason for the secrecy.
At the safe house, the director shows Tom a video in which 3 friends play poker, and after hearing a certain phrase through a phone call, one of them kills the other 2 in cold blood.
It's a diabolical scheme, really. They're creating perfect assassins, impossible to trace.
That night, the FBI raids the house, and the director and Tom are called to the basement.
Looks like this is where they process the video.
Elsewhere, the organization surveils each of the FBI's movements.
They're getting closer.
I think it's time we made a phone call.
Meanwhile, Stanley and Tom take Hidden Agenda to the forensic laboratory.
Unless you were using the same kind of equipment we're using right now, there's no way you could have known.
Exactly how much of this photo's been altered? Let me know when you're done.
Later, the duo chats about Hidden Agenda, and Tom narrates everything.
The same gallows was standing in the middle of a clearing there.
The duo is then informed of a discovery made at the lab.
Looks to be similar to the numbers used in the concentration camps by the Nazis.
After telling Jenny to wait at the car, the men head into the woods and find the place.
Is this the place?
This is it.
However, when the duo returns to the car, they find Jenny, who had received the same call as the man from the mind control video, pointing a gun at them, and before they can react, she shoots the director in the shoulder, but luckily, the duo quickly neutralize her.
All right, there's a safety deposit box in the National Bank in Silver Springs. Go, get the hell out of here!
With renewed hope, Tom escapes through the woods, looking forward to finally getting the answers he's been searching for. Tom heads to the National Bank and accesses the safety deposit box, but as soon as he does, unbeknownst to him, the organization is alerted. Hence, when he leaves the bank, Tom is followed and chased by numerous operatives until he manages to fool them and escape using his wit. Then, when he gets respite, Tom looks at the document compiled by an FBI agent codenamed Gemini, which consists of the untouched original Hidden Agenda photo, which depicts the 4 hanged men as elderly men, as opposed to the bagged younger victims on the version of the photo Tom knows. Then, Tom finds a key to Gemini's safe house in Virginia, heads there, and finds a temporary refugee there. After a good night's sleep, Tom returns to the city the next morning, heads to the U.S. archives and identifies the victims of the photo as U.S. senators. However, as he continues his search, Tom is shocked to find a recent photo of all the deceased senators, posing with a senator named William, and decides to reach out to him to find an explanation.
How can I help you, Mr. Vale?
Senator Wallace.
If you want to talk to him, you have to go through me first.
Later, Tom meets with Doug.
Now, you said that you had something that might interest the senator. I verify that's something.
Then, as Tom shows the photo to Doug, Doug is shot dead in broad daylight. Shocked, Tom walks away and calls the senator.
I need to talk to you about what happened to your assistant, Doug Iverman, today.
Later, Tom meets with Senator William and tries to get to the bottom of everything.
4 U.S. senators all on your committee. It's a shot of the 4 of them hanging from a gallows.
The senator then heads to the FBI office and speaks to Deputy Robert.
Right now, all you've got are the ravings of a madman. Possibly a murderer.
Tom then speaks to the senator at his office.
The photo?
It's real, isn't it? Balkan and the other 3 senators, they were originally for the bill.
As soon as he leaves the office, Tom calls the FBI.
I'm sorry, Assistant Director Rodman no longer works out of this office.
With Robert suddenly gone, Tom becomes desperate to find Gemini, who has compiled such a thorough document and had a copy of every picture he ever took, and returns to the safe house to study the documents. Then, Tom finds Gemini's direct access line to several federal agencies and finds a curious document. Meanwhile, Robert makes a call.
Don't worry. I know exactly what to do.
That night, hoping to share what he discovered with the senator, Tom goes to his house.
You must have me confused with some other senator.
No, I don't.
Senator!
Feeling deflated, Tom decides to hide his negatives in the safe house before continuing with his investigation, but when he proceeds to do so, he finds Gemini's set of negatives in his chosen hiding place and is amused by the coincidence. Then, Tom makes his own move and calls Robert.
Come alone and be on time. I've got Gemini's entire file.
Robert then heads to an estate to destroy everything, but is soon ambushed by Tom.
This must be pretty important stuff.
This is just one little Operation Vale. You're not going to be able to change anything.
Frustrated and desperate for answers, Tom shoots Robert in the leg, forcing him to reveal what he knows.
The next shot's right through your head.
What you looking for's in there?
Then, Robert points Tom to a tape, and as he goes to get it, Tom sees the old man take a lethal medication, rushes towards him, and gets the shock of his life.
You're Gemini Vale?
Barely hanging on to his sanity, Tom plays the tape, and he suddenly turns white as a ghost and remains frozen in place as his world comes crashing down on him, forcing him to question everything he ever knew. How can Tom possibly survive this discovery?